Beijing says it will fight to the end after U.S. President Donald Trump threatens to impose an extra 50% tariff on Chinese imports if it doesn't withdraw its counter-tariff. In Hong Kong, Chief Executive John Lee pledges to expand trade deals in response to reckless U.S. tariffs. And British rock band Coldplay kicks off its four-show act in Kai Tak Stadium, making history by being the first international music act to perform in the newly inaugurated stadium. Good evening. You're watching Cable News. I'm Jeremy Zhu. The China-U.S. trade war has entered a perilous new phase after U.S. President Donald Trump threatened to impose an additional 50% tariff on Chinese goods unless Beijing withdraws retaliatory measures by midnight. Quentin Yang tells us more.
Trump issued the ultimatum via his Truth Social platform yesterday, risks inflating total U.S. tariffs on Chinese imports to a staggering 104% under his second term, compounding existing 20% and 34% levies. Trump accused China of ignoring U.S. warnings after Beijing imposed 34% retaliatory tariffs on American products last week, in response to earlier U.S. duties.
With China, as you know, against my statement, they put a 34% tariff on above what their ridiculous tariffs were already. And I said, if that tariff isn't removed by tomorrow at 12 o'clock, we're putting a 50% tariff on above the tariffs that we put on.
While emphasizing his America First stance, Trump also dismissed the speculations about a 90-day tariff pause for other nations as fake news, reaffirming his resolve to escalate tensions. In Beijing, the Commerce Ministry swiftly condemned the threat as typical unilateral bullying and vowed to fight to the end if the U.S. proceeds. Pressure and threats are not the right way to deal with China, a spokesperson stated. Urging Washington to correct its mistakes and cease economic coercion, the ministry warned of resolute countermeasures to protect national interests, signaling no retreat in a conflict both sides insist has no winners. Quentin Yang, Cable News.
Chief Executive John Lee has denounced the chaos sparked by U.S. tariffs worldwide as barbaric bullying and outlined 7 strategies to help the city cope with the uncertainties in the face of the global market plunge. Cheryl Yun has the details.
The United States has enforced a cumulative 54% tariff rate on most Chinese goods, including products from Hong Kong. Speaking ahead of the Executive Council meeting, the city chief condemned the reciprocal tariffs as ruthless and reckless.
The U.S. no longer adheres to free trade, arbitrarily undermining the internationally established rules of world trade. And ruthless behavior damages global and multilateral trade. The reckless imposition of tariffs affects many countries and regions around the world, with huge tax rate increases and covering a wide range of goods disrupting the world economic and trade order, bringing great risks and uncertainties to the world.
In response to the U.S. tariffs, the city's leader has put forward a 7-point strategy for the SAR. Lee said Hong Kong shall focus on deeper integration with the mainland while enhancing international exchanges and fostering closer regional ties through the signing of free trade agreements. The plan also involves accelerating industrial transformation and boosting efforts in innovation and technology to enhance Hong Kong's competitiveness. Lee also pledged to enhance international financial cooperation and attract more foreign companies to establish in Hong Kong, leveraging the advantages of the one country, two systems policy. Regarding businesses, Lee promised supportive measures to help them navigate the impacts of tariffs and external challenges, including assistance with capital flow, export credit insurance, supporting local enterprises in exploring new markets, and more. Cheryl Yun, Cable News.
Amid market uncertainties fueled by trade tensions, Hong Kong stocks managed to record a near 300-point increase after a seesaw session thanks to the central government's proactive measures to stabilize the country's capital market. Cheryl Yun again reports.
The Hang Seng Index surged by over 600 points earlier in the day before briefly dipping 83 points in the afternoon and ultimately closed 299 points higher at 20,127 points, with a main board turnover of $433.1 billion. The gain came a day after logging a loss of more than 13% on Monday, the largest one-day decline since 1997. JD.com surged nearly 9%, while Xiaomi logged a growth of over 6%. BYD company forecasted a positive profit outlook, closing the day with an uptick of nearly 5%. Despite U.S. President Donald Trump's threat to slap an additional 50% tariff on Chinese goods unless China withdraws its counter-tariffs, China has intensified its intervention efforts to stabilize the markets in response to losses linked to the tariff war. Mainland Central Bank has pledged support to Central HOYIBC investments in increasing its holdings in stock market index funds when necessary, after the state-owned fund earlier intervened to support domestic stocks following a market plunge due to escalating trade tensions. The Shanghai Composite Index gained 1.6% at the close, while the CSI 300 Index climbed 1.7%. Cheryl Yun, Cable News.
Meanwhile, most of the Asia-Pacific markets also rebounded.
Japan's Nikkei 225 index, after 3 consecutive declines, briefly rose by over 2,000 points, closing up more than 6% to reclaim the 33,000 mark. South Korea's Kospi index also saw a 6% rebound, ending the day at around 2,300 points. Australia's S&P ASX 200 rose by 2%, closing at 7,510 points. However, Taiwan's stock market continued to feel pressure, dropping by 4%.
In other local news, British rock legends Coldplay kicked off their 4-night Kai Tak Stadium residency today, marking the venue's first major international concert and energizing Hong Kong's push to become a global events hub. Eager fans started queuing up around the stadium at around 3 p.m. Quentin Yang takes an earlier look today.
Hundreds of eager fans arrived hours early, with queues snaking around the stadium by 3 p.m. Attendees raced through security checks to secure prime spots for the opener. This is the most important concert of my life, said this hardcore fan. The concerts, part of Coldplay's Global Music of the Spheres tour, represent a pivotal moment for Hong Kong's concert economy. This concert-goer in costume praised the band for choosing Hong Kong over regional rivals. I saw them in Thailand last year. I never expected 4 shows here. To enhance audience experience, venue organizers eased carry-on rules, permitting reusable water bottles under 600 milliliters without lids, though some non-local visitors were surprised by the lid ban. The glitch didn't dampen the enthusiasm even a bit. Fans flooded in, revving up at the warm-up show until the atmosphere crested with Coldplay's 8 p.m. opener. To manage crowds, officials added 11 special bus routes to border checkpoints and arranged cross-border coaches for mainland fans departing after midnight. MTR frequency is also boosted to trains every 2 to 3 minutes post-stroll. Quentin Yang, Cable News.
The chief executive in council had greenlit the Hong Kong Tramway's proposal to rise its fare by 10 to 30 cents starting May 12th, the first fare hike in almost 3 years.
The revised fares for passengers aged 12 or above would be $3.30, while children aged 3 to 11 will see their ticket price going up by 10 cents at $1.60. In addition, the fare for the elderly aged 65 or above will increase 20 cents to $1.50. The monthly ticket fare, currently at $260, will remain unchanged. A government spokesman stated authorities should ensure that HKT will have sound financial capability in providing economical, efficient, and quality tram services at reasonable fares. In this connection, when assessing HKT's fare increase application, the government has duly exercised its gatekeeping role to carefully and stringently scrutinize the application, taking into account various factors, including the changes in operating costs and revenue since HKT's last fare adjustment and the likely public acceptability.
A man has been sentenced today to 7 years in prison for rioting with a white-clad mob at Yunlong MTR station during the 2019 social unrest after his acquittal was repealed last week.
60-year-old Wang Qi-wing, reportedly a transport worker, was accused of gathering with 7 other defendants at Yunlong MTR station on July 21, 2019, and randomly attacking residents. Wang was initially cleared of all charges, but the Department of Justice successfully appealed, leading to a retrial. After comparing footage presented in court, the judge previously concluded that the man seen committing the offenses closely resembled Wang in appearance and clothing. The judge stated when sentencing that the white-clad attackers shared a common purpose, which was to indiscriminately provoke, threaten, and assault citizens, describing their actions are extremely malicious.
South Korea will hold a snap presidential election on June 3rd to replace ousted President Yoon Suk-yeol. The government confirmed today as the nation navigates political upheaval triggered by a historic impeachment ruling.
Acting President and Prime Minister Han Duck-soo announced the date during a cabinet meeting, declaring it a temporary public holiday to boost voter turnout. The decision follows Friday's unanimous Constitutional Court ruling to uphold Yoon's impeachment for declaring a short-lived martial law last December. Yoon, South Korea's first sitting president to face criminal charges, now awaits trial for alleged rebellion, which could carry a life sentence. Lee Chae-myung, leader of the liberal opposition Democratic Party, is widely seen as the front-runner. He plans to resign as party chief tomorrow to formally launch his campaign, capitalizing on public discontent with Yoon's conservative policies. Meanwhile, Labor Minister Kim Moon-soo, a conservative heavyweight, resigned today to join the race, positioning himself as a potential standard-bearer for Yoon's fractured People Power Party. Other contenders include tech mogul turned politician Ahn Cheol-soo, who advocates centrist reforms.
CK Hutchison, one of the Hong Kong's biggest conglomerates, which is owned by billionaire Li Ka-shing's family, was said to have flouted the terms of its contract regarding 2 Panama Canal ports it operates, according to Panamanian audit results released.
The audit found many breaches of the concession awarded to a subsidiary of CK Hutchison to operate the 2 ports and concluded that Panama did not receive $1.2 billion it was owed under the contract. The subsidiary, called Panama Ports, benefited from many tax exemptions and also had irregularities in a previous audit that was used to justify an extension of the concession first awarded in 1997, said State Comptroller Anel Flores, adding that he would file a complaint with prosecutors in the coming days over the unpaid concession fees.
On to the weather now. Mainly overcast with isolated showers tomorrow, misty in the morning and at night. The minimum temperature will be about 22 degrees in the morning, rather warm with sunny intervals during the day, with a maximum temperature of around 26 degrees. Now let's take a look at the weather around the world. That's our news tonight. I'm Jeremy Zhu. Thank you for watching and good night.